Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
Russia doesn't want a ceasefire or peace. It wants to wipe Ukraine off the map. So instead of pushing Putin with sanctions, Trump says, let's do business with Russia. That's a terrorist state that's broke, sanctioned, and running on vodka body bags and ghost fleet of leaky oil tankers. A petro dictatorship that hates Americans, but sure, let's be trade partners. How charming. Meanwhile, Putin's so delulu, he's out here telling Trump he's winning while amassing troops on Finland's border after losing 700,000 troops and watching Ukraine turn his Black Sea fleet into fish food without even having a navy. And currently, Moscow getting lit up by Ukrainian drones, turning it into a no-fly disco zone. Putin is still planning to invade NATO next. Trump's art of capitulation now comes with How to Invade Everything and Still Lose by Putler. Because when it comes to war crimes and bad deals, it's hard to tell who is the villain and who is the apprentice. Ukraine's soldiers are out there defending freedom for all of us with grit, voila, and drones. Remember, Putin doesn't escalate when we help Ukraine. He escalates when we don't. I'm Slavi, your co-host. Let's say hello to the host of the Shills.
How's it going today, everybody? That was awesome. They were saying for the first 4 or 5 seconds there was no audio, and then they said the audio kicked in. I didn't fix or touch anything, so I don't really know what happened there. Gods of the internet, be damned. I don't know. I didn't even get a chance to look at what it could possibly be, and then the sound was back. So I don't know what happened, but yeah.
It's all PFM.
I think Nick Suter somehow managed to do that to us, actually. But yes, indeed. We're in for a good one today. We're fundraising for Brandon's thing, which we will get to in a second here. So, well, you know what I mean. So yeah, let's meet the rest of the team,
Yeah.
shall we?
Commander McMillan, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm a retired Navy commander, had 25 years of service, graduate of the Naval War College and the U.S. Staff and Command College. I have operational specialties in logistics and amphibious operations.
He's the man to go to for information, for sure. Thanks so much. Brandon, would you please introduce yourself, what you do, your mission, and where to find you?
Thank you very much, Slava. You can find me here on the Shills every Saturday night for the next, until I'm told I'm not welcomed anymore. It could be a long or short, long-lived. Could be a one-term presidency. Yes. Well, with our goal, I served for 2 years in Hospitallers Medical Battalion. I have a role what they call in Ukraine a felcher, similar to like a paramedic, and currently I'm an intensive Ukrainian Ukrainian language school in Kiev. So we're going to work now to fundraise for Hospitallers Medical Battalion, as our base in Pavlograd, which was the home of the battalion for over 10 years, was blown up by a shaheed over a month ago. That's an ongoing collection in a monobank jar, which we use in Ukraine, which was at 20 million grivna. You can translate that; it's now at over 11 million. So we've achieved all our goals. Thank you very much, the Shills, for before. For the next few weeks, I want all this to go towards the monobank jar. All the money that I collect, that we can collect, from whatever streams. So thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. And we've got a latecomer to introduce, don't we?
Oh, yes. We have Andrew in the audience.
1 second here. I don't think his microphone attached properly. Andrew, check on your screen. You'll get a little pop-up. It should. There you go. You're good.
How about that? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect, buddy. Perfect.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having me. Yeah, Saturdays are a great day to talk about Ukraine, and I saw Brandon is going to be on here today. He was on here last week, and he's doing his fundraising efforts. And while I personally scaled back a little bit on my fundraising and advocacy, just to kind of maintain some of my media stuff, I love being here and able to share some of your guys' efforts out still, and at least promote it that way. So
awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So where does everybody want to start? What should we get into? I mean, there's useless phone calls, prisoner exchanges. There's,
Well, there was a huge missile and drone attack on Kiev last night. So maybe Brandon can tell us more about that.
Yes. So I've been living in Kiev now for 2 months, and I have been in Kiev other times, for days and even a week at a time. This was the largest attack that I've ever heard or felt personally. I wasn't staying at home last night, but I remember around 1 a.m, the soundtrack had gone from, what were we on? We were on Bob Marley, took the night into Sting. I think we were on Billy Idol came on after that. Yeah, right around the same time. And when the first bang, but with the ballistic missiles, you could actually hear them traveling, which was a new thing to me, because where I live, I rent a room here quite close to the Parliament. So the air defense is quite good, but I wasn't in that area. And it's the first time I've ever actually heard the ballistic missiles, and it sounds a bit like a wind tunnel. You don't hear it for long, obviously, but I don't know how many missiles, but there were several missiles.
There's 14 Iskander missiles.
How many of them hit? How many were taken out by air defense? Do you know? No, they don't. They never really report that officially. You have to go onto the Telegram groups in Kiev
Oh wait, hold on.
It's like
I
a
do.
puzzle. It's like putting a puzzle together.
Ukrainian air defense shot down 245 drones and 6 missiles.
Okay, so the others hit.
245.
I remember feeling at least 3 or 4 of them. But yeah, it was the first time I ever actually heard them. You can feel them in the like displacing air, like
Yeah.
yeah. It was yeah, it was quite the. And then immediately my friend who was having me over, she got onto Telegram, because there's a lot of different chat groups in Kiev that will tell you where they hit, and yeah, so everybody's just left to pick up the pieces the next day. And then,
Brandon, I got a question for you overall. But that was 250 drones is pretty significant, along with the 14 ballistic missiles. And like you said, that was the biggest attack you've been a part of. I got to hang out with you when you were in Kyiv, but I know you like to be just back out there. You'd like come to Kyiv, get your resupply, and get back out to the front lines. And so you have a lot of experience. In light of today's massive drone and missile attacks, how are frontline units adapting to increasing use of the unmanned aerial systems?
Excellent question.
Yeah.
the biggest probably the biggest killer right now, and cause of casualties, and has been for a long time, is FOBs and COB missiles. So a COB is unguided. A FOB can be guided and the trajectory altered, and those can range from anywhere from 250 kilogram bombs up to over 2,000. Those alone are the single biggest displacers. And Lancet drones are very, very big problem. People who are smart can do it the best they can to minimalize. Say, for example, in the Sumy direction, used to be the Kursk direction. They're very good, and Russians were always very good at this. I don't like the fellas who always say Russia's stupid. We've fallen victim to that. Okay, that's Ukraine's a victim of its own propaganda. No, Russia's very smart, and one thing they've always been able to do is to calculate the speed from the Orlan drone or the Supercam drone, the speed and direction of a vehicle, and to tie their fire into that.
Right.
And places on the road these are like, there's one road in Sumy where probably 4 vehicles a week get hit minimum on that one, and because they know the quality of the road, or the way the road turns around. It's nothing top secret. Russia knows, and that's where they tend to hit, because they know when the vehicle will have to slow down. They could do it on a straight and fast road too. Of course they could, because they're very good at these calculations. But obviously, when you have to slow down, the probability of more damage and a better hit, that is probably the single greatest cause of casualties.
And then, Brandon, what's the dynamic and the difference between drone warfare in urban areas versus out in the field, or just out in the tree line? Is there a difference, or what is it?
No, there's not. No,
Okay.
there's really not. Like, obviously, there's a lot of drones in Pokrovsk. If you drive north of Pokrovsk to Rodinsky, which is on the way to Dobropilye, if you don't know where I'm talking about, it's still it's probably the closest town to the Pokrovsk direction where you can get shashlik and go to supermarkets. But in Dobropilye, drones can even hit you now. So more and more people are being targeted and threatened. These cities are becoming a bit like, the first thing you probably would have heard in the media would have been about Kherson, about indiscriminate drone attacks across the water, because the river is a great barrier, but in many points they're right across the river.
Drone safaris, Brandon. Drone safaris. Yeah.
I've heard this term. Yeah, I've heard this term. That's becoming a reality. Not a really nice thing to talk about. One night, and this is going back there was still snow. A Lancet drone hit a block post in Sumy City, but it was the block post in the southwestern point of the city, the Ukrainian side. How that Lancet had achieved that range, I do not know. But that's also the casualties that went to the hospital. The hospital staff were quite. I'm telling someone. I'm only telling a friend's story. This is not my story.
Mhm.
I was just down. I was down the road. But that blog post, when they brought the casualties to the hospital, the hospital staff were quite upset. Why did you bring him here? Why did you bring? They couldn't, because they seen a military uniform. They see a casualty who's unconscious. This is not. Why did you not bring him to stabilization? Why did you bring him here? He's like, no, he got hit here. Where? Like you had to drive closer to the Russians in theory to get to the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah. So that, and my friend said, that's quite clever of them. That's psychology. That why would they hit that block post of all? And it's maybe the most insignificant militarily, but psychologically, it's like we can get you anywhere we want. I'm not an EW guy. Can they repeat that feat time and time again? I haven't heard of it many times, but they did that time, and it was a Lancet. How? I don't know. They have a system set up in the city.
Do you know if the Russians have fiber optics on their drones now, like the Ukrainians do?
That's been going on for a long time.
Okay.
A long time. But some of those teams, we can only. What is the word? We can only speculate. I remember one ambulance crew in one of the soft units, their ambulance got taken out, and where it got taken out in the time, that drone team, the estimated range, because who's actually going to unwind? Do you know how thin fiber up? Like who's actually going to?
It's a lot.
No, you would never know how long that was, but that team would have had to been at the time at the most farthest point front of an infantry position running that drone. So you really have to get an accurate picture about these. You have to have accurate information, which the army doesn't, because maybe somebody does, but that's not public. They take reports for the nearest position, but even from somebody, I know a lot of people hate him, but he's very good with his maps. Willie, he's very good with his maps, and I know why he's good with his maps. You like for somebody like that to break down a Ukraine map, you would have to have 10 of those reports confirmed from Rybar, from Deep State, from a lot of different points to kind of get a guess of the range. So nobody can really give you, anybody who would talk publicly about it anyway couldn't give you an accurate answer, and I cannot give you an accurate answer. That's really scary. That's really scary.
We've got a couple of shout outs we can do already. I'm so glad and happy to say we had, round of applause, please. Thank you very much. Linda H came through that coffee site. $50 direct donation for Brendan's fundraising. Awesome. And then Ann Hill came in and matched it with a $50 direct coffee donation for Brandon's fundraiser. All right, so we're off to a great start here. That's $100. Boom and done. Thank you, everybody. Hey, that damn button, I fixed it. There, see, you got to have it trail off so it has the real effect. Oh, now it's repeating it. So you know what? Fuck that button. Okay.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, just screw that one, man. And Niles G. Knudsen came in with a renewal of a Shills membership as well. So huge thanks. We love the Shills memberships. And Niles is known for giving out about $40,000 a month or something. So we got to give him an extra special shout out. So where do we turn to next here? I would, what do you think, Slavi? Where should we go? Through the news? We'll let the viewers catch up with some questions. We'll do a little bit more chatter amongst ourselves, shall we?
Can you guys hear me?
Coming through now. Yeah.
Okay. I have a question since we're on fiber optics. A question for Brandon from Papa Dutch. Are fiber optics fibers flammable, and do they burn if flamed?
You would have to apply a lot of heat to them, but anything will combust. I will see if I have. I am not a subject matter expert on this, but if I have the photo, I did have the photo.
I'd say they'd have to be protected. Otherwise, they'd be pretty susceptible to heat, right?
I'm trying to find one.
Not my subject. I have no idea.
This is from the same direction when I talk about my friends who get hit by fiber optics, but that's a Russian drone. The frames are constructed. I mean, there's a lot of different variants. What you're used to seeing here, okay, your typical FPV. That's an 8-inch copter. I'll show you a 7-inch copter, but theirs tend to vary a lot. Wait, I want to find the. Oh yeah. You can barely see it in the photo, but it looks like It looks like a spider's web.
Mm-hmm.
I have a better one too somewhere. It looks like cotton candy, but I can't find it anywhere. But they can get really, really thin, 10 kilometers minimum, and this was the ambulance in question. If you can see, there were was 6 wounded, but everybody lived. That's near Yukanivka. That's the last town to the Russian border. Again, that's like 2 months old. Okay, so that's we have to assume that their capabilities have only increased.
Safe assumption, right?
But yeah, if you applied a lot of heat to that, but fiber optic cables are quite resilient.
Huh. I get.
Yeah.
Well, in this application, they would have to be. Otherwise, they would be pretty useless, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna actually look while we're going. I wish I could answer that better. I'm gonna see if I can actually find the photo of the big pile of fiber optics. If not, I don't know where to get it. No, it's just dirty memes here. He sent me on Instagram. Sorry.
Need those.
Don't show the nudie pics.
Brandon, by the way, speaking of dirty memes, we have a question for you from Ike. So finally, Brandon, how is the Gigalo project going? Please at least make one photo with all the gigolos. I'm looking forward to the calendar since 2022.
Oh, here, I'll help you. Can you read that last text there? That's to Starsky. Show your nipples for Rick. We managed to raise $3,000 for 92 Brigade recently.
Sweet.
And Starsky and I, it's not it's bromosexual. It's not homosexual, but that was him. I don't know if that was 2 weeks ago. I don't know if he's put a shirt on since. And then I shared the love as well. But we managed to raise the money quite quickly. We got the last. Some people think it's inappropriate, immature, but no honey, no money, right? So
you gotta do what you gotta do to get the money. You know what, people want to be entertained. So
yeah. No, but there's certain people that like who had political aspirations after the war that they've distanced themselves. Once I started talking about I'm just trying to find a way for Ukrainian men to get green cards after the war, and. American girls, where are all the real men today? Yeah, Vova, big hairy belly like this. He's got shrapnel here and there. Yeah, here's your real man. Yeah, that's a real man.
In that case, there's hope for me yet.
You're too real. Yeah. So enough about the gigolos, but it was we made Roman
Mr.
Trumplements feel very uncomfortable.
Everywhere he goes, people know the party's playing.
I just thought it would be a nice idea.
Yeah. Seems like a nice cutesy idea compared to surstrumming. Brandon was literally like, Brandon didn't give, no, you guys, we didn't have a choice. Like, it wasn't an option. Really.
You did that, both of you. You ate that.
Both of us. Brandon had every YouTuber that was in Ukraine at the time, basically in Kyiv. Like,
Oh yeah, it was just a puke session.
yeah, and it wasn't. Brandon literally showed up to Kyiv with surstrumming. It was like, guys, Christmas special. We're doing this. Here it is. Let's go. You don't have a choice.
I mean,
And then we were all
did
there.
warn you. They did warn you. So
He warned me about. He warned me about the flavor and what could happen, but it was going to happen regardless. Like, we were going to experience it, whether we were told what was going to happen or not.
Yeah, but there's no warning that could possibly lead you to what's truly about to happen when that can is cracked.
True, and he had it in his. Brandon had it in his vehicle for a while, and it was cooking, and it was like a fully cooked surstrumming can, juices, and.
do you guys know if Ukraine used the surstrumming as a bioweapon against Russia?
I think Brandon was.
No,
That's why he had it.
who did codename Irish. He died at the end of 23 in Kharkiv, unfortunately, and he was in Gur Legion. He was a Swede, and they used to joke, yeah, if you need anything war crimey done, just go to Irish. And he actually did he did a Mavic job with surstrumming that actually really happened in real life. And if he I hope there's no afterlife, because if he knew the way he died, he would have been so pissed off. Anyway, I'll leave it there. But the surstrumming, I will just if you will, where is the surstrumming party?
To the Christmas party by mistake.
Oh yeah, I made that was a beautiful video. Where's Arthur Rahe? Hold on. Ah, there we go. Hold on. Here we go. You were there. Yeah, Andrew, you remember.
Brown shit.
Can you hear that?
You sure? Yeah. Sure about that?
Yeah, I'm a funny one.
This shit's gonna go down. It smells like dead Peter.
Yeah. You remember that?
Oh my god.
Arthur Rahe got really, really sick. That's the surstrumming juice. Fuck you, Brandon.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
That's what it felt like. The Exorcist.
I had a lot of fun with that video. I had yeah. Andrew, you were a pussy. You and Johnny FD, the Americans, the Estonians were real men. Like Mart. Do you remember Mart?
They do shit like that. Yeah, they
He
do
looked
shit
like
that.
the head henchman from Die Hard 1 with the blonde hair. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
They eat surstrumming for fun and then go in, as long as there's a sauna involved.
That ain't right.
As long as there's a sauna involved, they're in. Yeah, my stomach was not ready for that. It just was not.
There's
I vomited on the bridge.
Mhm.
one sec here, guys.
The burp in Ray's face, and the after burp came. Anyway, okay.
We got a couple of pictures I want to bring up quick before we move on too far from it. Fragden Shizo in the chat there sent in a couple of the fiber optic pics.
That's it. Yeah.
Let me just zoom that in for you, and we got another one here as well with them in the trees.
Kind of looks like angel hair pasta.
Yeah.
In one.
You know, it's like some Italian spilled their lunch, right? You know,
Threw up their lunch.
Yeah. After surstrumming.
That's going to be one of those callback jokes that lasts the whole show now, isn't it? Oh, it's funny. Let me just double check that we're not quite caught up here. So Johnny Nedregard in the live chat there came in with a super chat for us. 22 Norwegian kroner. Hello, Shills, Slava, Ukraine. Heroum Slava. Great shout, Johnny. Thank you very much. We'll put that in the month-end fund for Brandon's thing because, well, super chats, we don't get it until YouTube pays Google AdSense and then AdSense pays us. It's
Too much
ridiculous. Yeah.
God makes that sense.
You know, they've invested your money like 4 times before they bother paying you out, right? You know, it's such a game. It's such a game. Sorry, 1 second here. We also had Raven come in with a $6.99 super chat as well. Woohoo! Question for you, Brent. What is the next Christmas special? Not Sir Strumming again, please. Any ideas?
God, I don't know. Anybody who follows my channel, they're really supportive, but I'm really struggling with YouTube these days and social media. I cut it down to 1 video a week, and then I got my strike against me recently for what we said, and now the last video did like 3,000 views. I don't know.
What'd you get a strike for?
I said "glory to the nation" in Ukrainian in a video 2 years ago. Some Karen. Yeah. I don't know. We'll find something. Always find a way. But if not Sustrumming, it's just so hard to top that. You know, that was, you know, like it's like you're heavyweight champion of the world at 23 years old or something, or like 21 years old. Remember who did that? And his whole life kind of went downhill afterwards.
Yeah.
It's Sustrumming. I mean, collectively we had, well, Rehi was the big one, the big fish, but collectively we had over 1 million subscribers that would have got a taste of that, and you got a taste of that, and
I almost could barely watch it when that was, I was just, you know.
By the way, I have attention Dick Dawson. Papa Dutch just sent you a pic of a Sherstrumming landmine.
Cursed.
Oh, okay, here.
Do you ever spend any time in the Baltic, Commander McMillan?
No. I was almost exclusively a Pacific and Indian Ocean sailor.
All right, for some, sounds nice. The warm Pacific.
Yeah.
Those huts weren't too fun.
Unless you go up to the Aleutians, which I did on 2 occasions, which it gets cold up there.
But those Quonset huts were fun.
Well, we got a late joiner. Jana, Project Constantine's Jana's in. How's it going?
Good, thanks. Sorry for being late. I was busy knitting.
You were fined 2 demerit points by the, what's that thing from Stallone's movie, Demolition Man or whatever it was? I can't remember.
Yeah.
What are you knitting?
So friends of mine are having a baby, so they're getting a blanket.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
And then I found out, I thought I was being unique. No, there are 3 other people knitting blankets. So now it is a matter of like, I need to outperform now, okay?
I gotta say, you just don't look 85 years old, you know? It's amazing. You really keep it young looking.
You know, despite this African sun, I manage, you know?
That's what it is. Okay.
Oh my word, yeah. Oh, it's been a crazy week, crazy few weeks.
What's happening?
So as you guys know, I have the raffle for Pete's knife and stuff, and I reached out to, amongst others, Andrew, of course, and also to Jake. I was like, let me try my luck, and he shouted it out, and we got a lot of money that people donated. So yeah, it's been pretty cool.
Awesome.
You know, being able to buy stuff. Yeah.
When
and
this,
also,
when the fundraising's working, it feels good, right? Yeah.
Right. And Halina and I got our first Podiaka, like the thank you from the soldiers. And it's like, we've been, because the 67 doesn't give one out. They don't give, they don't hand out. So then today, we just got one from a guy in Third Assault. I know Annette's in chat. Well, obviously she's in chat, but she Annette, you will remember Major Cool, Sasha, who we had on with Dr. Serhi. So he is now in 3rd Assault Brigade. So he asked for Starlink and we gave him, and then he was like, here's a Podyaka. And we're like, what? We've never had one of these before. So yeah.
Cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Very much. Awesome. Yeah, we're just catching up with some fundraising with Brandon here today. So far, going okay already. I think tariff fears and everything are starting to settle a little bit in people, and the uncertainty isn't hanging over their head so much like a cleaver. Now it's just a cloud.
It's an improvement.
Yeah, it is. It is, you know.
How did the King's speech go down?
Oh,
Because that was quite a bit of a controversy. I remember when he didn't go to bat. But that happened just the other day too, and he was you can call it, if you're Canadian, a throne speech is a throne speech, but they happen when they happen. But
yeah.
He was expected to be very explicit for a royal.
Yeah.
Which they're not normally, but I don't listen to royal speeches, but that's one I actually would have really liked to listen to.
Yeah, I've only seen like a couple of blurbs and not myself yet. I'm being called. I think somebody needs
summoned.
my attention. Yes. Give me a second here, everybody.
Well, we don't have questions at the moment, so we can discuss the news. This week, Trump had a phone call with Putin, and Trump claims that Putin thinks that he's winning, and Russia holds 20% of Ukraine, but at what cost, right? 700,000 Russian casualties are gone, 9,000 tanks, and 1,800 drones completely destroyed. So May offensives also gained only 5 kilometers at massive loss. And EU's sanctions cut Russia's energy exports by 40%. Ukraine hit a missile factory and Moscow air base as well. And Pope Leo and Finland, NATO, all isolating Russia as well. And Zelensky also said if he was winning, he wouldn't want peace talks, right?
Yeah.
Paraphrase the Orange God King. So much winning. You'll get tired of all the winning.
Another major story too that happened was the prisoner swaps. And I actually have a question for Brandon on this one with the major prisoner swap. So when Ukraine gets soldiers back, do they have a choice to reintegrate into the military? Like, how long is the medical care afterwards? Is there? What is that process like after we see them, like, they're back in Ukraine?
Again, I'm not an expert, but I only know from prisoners that I know.
I figured you obviously you got to be exposed to this.
So my friend Hassan, he came back in the end of 22. He was a Mariupol prisoner from Azov, and he never returned to military life. He does volunteer work. He lives in Kiev. He's also a gamer like yourself. But he works with various volunteer projects in Dobrobut hospital, big hospital chain here. He's not obliged to return. Many people do. And I know some of the Azov boys who came back, they're in service again. But that is completely up to them, to their choice. And it's also worth saying, a lot of people who do go back to service, if Russia does follow a Geneva Convention, which they do not, you are not obliged the prisoner, if captured again, is not in theory entitled to the same rights. because it's under agreement that when those prisoners are exchanged, at least on paper, that they're not returning to military service.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's a few annoyances with the prisoner exchanges, and I know somebody. I'm actually renting a room in an elderly woman's house right now who's very involved with prisoner welfare. There's packages that go. She's actually Russian. It's fair to say she can't go home, but Ukrainian prisoners by law. I probably wouldn't be saying this. It's no secret, but I wouldn't be saying it on the Jake Bro channel, say, for 200,000 people to hear. They are legally entitled to 2 packages a year, those prisoners. And many of them are held in Russian general population prisons. So they're subject to things that happen in prison.
I can only imagine what a Russian prison would be like compared to the stories you even hear about like North America.
This lady, she's currently there now near the Belarusian border, where the exchange takes place, and I've never heard this mentioned in Ukraine, but for example, nobody knows. So tonight in Hospitallers Battalion in the general group chat, there's a few messages. Не знаєте, чи серед Biznocik. Okay, so one of our people who was captured in 22, people are asking, is Biznocik? Is he with the Polonais? I don't read so good in Ukrainian, but Polonais. Yeah, so prisoners. Is he back? You know, and people won't know, and the commander wouldn't even know, and up higher, nobody knows who you're going to get.
Wow. Okay.
But also, sometimes when Russia, they will give you 1,000, but they could be Ukrainians, civilians, who were convicted of, say, a narcotics charge in Moscow or St. Petersburg 10 years ago, and they've served their time. They do sometimes throw those people in the mix too to count up their 1,000. So
I mean, Brandon,
get Marines or Azov.
120 civilians were exchanged yesterday. And I mean, I'm glad civilians are coming back, but the deal was 1,000 for 1,000 military personnel. And Russia can just continue to keep kidnapping Ukrainian civilians on the occupied territories and use them to fill in the numbers in prisoner exchanges.
Most are not. Most are legitimately in Russia convicted criminals. Like if you had a narcotics charge against you, like some of those people, they make up a fair amount of.
Yeah.
50 of those people will be people with criminal convictions of some sort.
Yeah. Probably like severe.
I mean, also we do have to say the Red Cross is not doing their job, which is
Never have they ever.
True. I mean,
Brandon, was there a time where you ever saw the Red Cross like active, or Jana, in your work and in your volunteering, or anyone?
Nope. Maybe they're active in other parts of the world, but they're not active in. I mean, there's a woman who, Halina works with her, and her husband has been missing for 2 years, and they don't know where first it was told he got killed. Then she said, okay, let me see the body. Then they said, we can't find the body. He's just missing. She's looked at, all the prisoner lists and everything. He's not on there. But another woman who's also in Halina's community, her husband disappeared under the same circumstances, and he returned in a prisoner exchange. And they didn't even, she was told he's dead. So the Red Cross is not doing their job. And it's just causing a whole, the trauma of the civilians and the families as well, who are like holding out and hoping that their relatives are okay.
Yeah, when I saw them in Kyiv, they were just kind of like hanging out whenever we'd go there.
Yeah.
Kind of driving around in the vehicles. They had like white SUV trucks. They're just kind of hanging
Got
around.
them in the UN. They're besties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Function just about the same
Yeah.
or function less.
Couple of shout outs I'm going to jump in and do here. So, first, we'll start off with a big round of applause here because we got Kaltenberg came in with a $100 direct coffee donation there. Keep up the good work. Right into the Brandon Fund it goes. Thanks, Kaltenberg. That's a nice push for the fundraising today, indeed. And we had a couple of super chats as well. Lindsay Rogers comes in with a super chat, and she says, would you rather have a meal with Trump or a bag of maggots? Oh, Lindsay, bring on the bag of maggots. You know what? I'll get naked with those maggots and roll around and have cheeseburgers. Just that's how happy I will be to pick them.
Oh, hold on. Is it maggots or maggots?
Maggots. Oh, no. Wait, what did I just say?
I
then?
see what you did there.
Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, this is going to be a hard day of beer.
I'm just saying,
made that
if you have a meal with Trump, you can poison him.
Not
I'm
enough
just
food.
putting that out there.
There's not enough food.
Oh.
Just a little bit of arsenic, you know?
I'd make the whole Big Mac out of it.
Yeah.
So with that, I had to get going, but I got one more question for Brandon, if I could, Dick. I have Ukrainian friends that live 2 hours away, and they're moving to Minneapolis. So I'm like helping them move.
Oh, cool.
They're getting out of the small town. They came on the refugee program, which is another problem too, by the way.
Oh, man.
Trump might be ending that, and there's like a shitload of Ukrainians here on that.
Yeah.
So Brandon, in the midst of all the peace negotiations and diplomatic efforts that are happening that we have to talk about, what is the sentiment among volunteers and soldiers regarding this? Is this even talked about, or is this kind of like in the background afterthought right now?
It was never talked about. It's because Ukrainian soldiers who are alive this long, because they're not stupid, there will be no peace. There will be no peace. And everybody knows that if the war ends in a year or two, it will start again in 5 years. So, no, people are just kidding themselves.
Yeah. Now, Russia has to be grabbed and broken up. Simple. Done.
Now, it's very important you ask me these questions, but I'm sure other people here, anybody who can speak Ukrainian or Russian, who has access to Telegram and other social media communities, that people in English, they could give you, it's important to say, you know, I have not been a combatant since the beginning of 24. Yes, I work with these people. I try to get them their things, so I'm no expert opinion, but I know enough that this opinion has not changed. It never has changed. It never has changed. The people who are realistic, they know that there can be no peace with nowadays Russia. Watch what they do, not what they say.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you for answering some of my questions. I hope we can drive you some more fundraising efforts. I'm dedicating my Saturdays to Ukraine, so the more I can help on this end and just use my voice and platform to help you guys get what you need, I will. Same with the Project Constantine, Jana, and anything else that comes up. We have Cars for Ukraine as well. I'm not a part of it, but I'm going to be helping them and push out some of their stuff too. So thank you guys again for having me, and Brandon and Jana and Commander, Slavi, Dick. You guys have a fantastic day.
Awesome, buddy. Talk to you soon, man.
May I just say before you go, I want to apologize. I haven't been so responding to your reels lately because I'm in school now and I'm really struggling with my time management, but I have cut reels out of my life entirely.
They're distracting.
Just when I need them, but thank you.
All right, guys. I feel it. Well, when you're ready to return back to the meme reels, I'm there. You know,
I'll be there with everything racist, homophobic. You know, the reels that then send other men.
Exactly. All right, guys.
Take it
Peace
easy,
out.
Andrew. See you soon,
right.
man.
See ya.
Bye.
Yep. Bye.
Boy
I
has some
have
good rules.
a super chat from Papa Dutch, and he says, "What bakes my noodle is that Trump seems to have the same effect as Diddy Combs on people around him."
Wow. Well, in a world full of Trump and Diddy Combs, maybe all be 50 Cent.
I was like, I don't want to think Trump and shitload of baby oil either.
Oh,
Oh
no.
my goodness, Slavi, no.
Oh.
I
Don't
went
go there.
there. I just, thanks, Papa Dutch. It was really fun.
Oh my word.
Oh, that's
So-
funny.
Brandon, I was wondering if you could expand on the last answer to the question that Andrew posed.
About
If-
peace.
Yeah, if Putin is removed from the equation, does that change your response at all?
No. It's
It seems to
I'm
be
not-
systemic into the Russian mind and personality. And
I agree. I just wanted to make sure because a lot of people on our end here, not us, because I think we're more cognizant of the realities, but a lot of Americans actually think that this is all just Putin's fault. If Putin goes away, everything will go back to the way it was and everything will be wonderful. It's like, I think that is the most ignorant way of viewing the situation as you can get.
There might be even worse people than Putin if that
Oh, yeah.
exists. But yeah.
Why don't you ask the Ukrainians here in the audience? I'm in Ukrainian school now, and they know about Kobzar, they know about Tereshevchenko, they know about, as I'm learning in school now, about Slovo when the Soviets permitted complete freedom for over 3 years of all art forms. So NKVD
Could identify who was a problem maker, and then
identify
3
who
years
was
later,
a problem. The Kobzar, I'm learning now. I never thought I'd take a love to poetry, but Ukrainian poetry is quite beautiful, and it inspires me to find more of the words and what they were meaning. And there was a great festival in Kharkiv. The year, I believe it was 19. It was before Holodomor as such began, and the people who would recite the Kobzar, the poems, you had to learn this from somebody, like an apprenticeship, and you would carry the stories, and like a bard.
Mhm.
And they were all invited, and it was a big festival, and everybody who came was executed, and this art form only survived by the people who stayed and didn't go in the West, and they kept it alive. But Russia, I'm appreciating even more now. It's not like watching a documentary on as many as I've watched about the horrors of the Soviet Union in my life, but to actually start to learn some of these things myself, and how they systematically destroyed this, and they do this for 300-400 years. They learn it, and why would Russia change? Because Russia is simply, forgive me here, but it's just a girl with some very extreme daddy issues. This is serious daddy issues, because anybody who ever tried to be nice, they did away with them after Catherine the Great. What was the retarded son's name? They got rid of him. When the last Tsar tried to make a soft czardom, they shot him and his whole family. When Khrushchev tried de-Stalinization, they kicked him out. When Gorbachev tried perestroika and glasnost, they kicked him out, and they replaced him with an alcoholic, and another young man came in. After Yeltsin was just the intern, hold my beer. But this is not a nation that respects kindness. They only understand. And
brutality.
all your
Yeah.
words, and they're laughing at us with our our LGBT ideals, and when we talk about your feelings, and everybody gets a participation medal these days in our society, they're laughing. They're laughing. And until
Yeah.
people understand this about Russia, we are right, but they are might. I believe in freedom for all people, but being right does not, if you stand up to a bully in school, both kids get suspended now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also a lazy approach in a way. It's just, oh, you're both in trouble. No. The person defending themselves should not be in trouble. But
I was taught to pick. I was raised by my grandparents, but I was taught to pick up an object if they were bigger than you. And
yeah. I was told you just either go for the knee because they can't stand up then, or just break his nose in one shot and you'll be done with it. And it works.
Dick, I bet you've watched Batman Returns, the Penguin. You'd be like Danny DeVito. You just go for the nose. You just bite their nose off. Sorry, no, but no, Russia. No, there's no peace with Russia. There's no civilized. There's no conversation with Russia. There's nothing to talk about. And the Ukrainians are nodding their head. You can't talk. You can't talk to these people.
No.
Also, people in the West think that if only Russia gets a chance at doing democracy again and freedom, that they're going to go and get.
But Slavi, they're so oppressed.
It's not going to happen because Russians don't understand what freedom is. They don't understand democracy. They'll fuck it up like they did after 1991. They had a chance to prosper. Ukraine choose to prosper. Then Russia chose the shit that they're in. So whoever they choose after Putin, it's going to be the same. Russians created Putin.
Yeah.
Not Russians. Yeah.
Well, I think you need to look.
I'll be right back, guys. 1 sec.
Sure. From a historical perspective, because take Imperial Japan or Nazi Germany or Fascist Italy, prior to those governments arising in those nations, they did have something resembling democratic traditions. They at least tried it and got somewhere. But it still took occupation by the Allied powers for at least a generation after the war to get them back on that track. I think that's exactly where you're going to be with Russia, except it's not going to be one generation. It's going to be multiple ones, because literally their whole history is one of authoritarian oppression, and they've gotten to the point where they don't understand that there's another possibility.
Yeah.
Actually, we have a super chat coming from Papa Dutch, and he says, "Make Russia small again." Razem
Exactly.
Which I support that, like also to complete isolation of Russia. But yeah, make Russia small again. Make it,
decolonize it.
Yeah, decolonize it. But make them. I forget how many colonies or countries that Russia consists of, but it's a lot. It's quite a few.
Yeah, all the independent SSRs, what used to be the SSRs. And my recollection is somewhere in the range of like 30 or something. So, yeah. And then the other part to realize is that a large majority of the troops that are currently being sent to the front to fight are from the non-ethnic Russian areas. There's got to be, a desire on their part to put an end to that nonsense.
Yeah, I don't know.
Brandon, I have a super chat for you, and it's, can we help fundraising Angry Birds for Vita of Think Ukraine, or have her as a guest? Thanks. This is from SSW Customs.
It's not my channel. I couldn't invite. I'm the only Angry Birds I'm aware of. It was a game. about 10 years ago,
Oh,
15
I
years.
thought you knew of this Angry Birds. Okay.
Sounds great, but I live in a bubble. I have to plead ignorance.
Same here on the Angry Birds thing for me as well.
The commander talked about it's a very interesting concept to me. I explored about how Russians consider nationality and citizenship two different concepts. This is also something in Ukraine, and I've had conversations with people about. I thought they were being anti-Semitic when what they talked. We had conversations, and they said, "Oh, what's her name? Maya Goldman, the Israeli president. She was born
Here.
Ukrainian." And I said, "Yeah, oh, she was Ukrainian," and they said, "No, she was a Jew." I said, "That sounds a bit anti-Semitic for me, because I really don't have much tolerance for anti-Semitism," and it surprised me from this person who was a very liberal, artsy person who generally aren't known for this, and I kept pursuing the question with them, and they said no, but they're not Ukrainian. Now, if you come from Canada, that's a very bold statement to say that someone's not a Canadian when they become a Canadian. But in Russia especially, but in former Soviet nations, your nationality and your ethnicity is still a very important thing, and not necessarily being racist. It's like, no, he's a Yakut, he's a Buryat, but his citizenship is Russian. He is a Russian, but he doesn't consider him. He accepts that he is a Russian in citizenship, but his nationality is still is a big concept to them. Are you Buryat? Are you Yakut? Are you Chechen? Are you whereas
and it's a two-way relationship, because the Russians don't view them as true Russian, and they don't view themselves as being Russian ethnically.
but they accept the citizenship, but they're very staunch about their nationality. So is when you say make Russia small again, do you make it 200 different nations? It's the biggest country in the world, and possibly has the most languages spoken under one country.
I think India wins that.
Probably. Oh my God! Yeah.
No, I mean, there literally be villages right next to each other, 2 miles away from each other. They cannot understand each other at all. Their languages are so different.
Manchester and Liverpool.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we have a lot of stuff coming in. So few super chats, they exist. It says, "What an honor. No need to mention me, more later." And then Papa Dutch says, "If someone is in the Kremlin, they are KGB, FSB. They are the government. So Putin will be replaced by the next clone." And I'd have to say we all agree. Also, we have a lot of questions. So got a question for Commander. What does he think about the Russian troop buildup and training in Belarus?
I think they do it as a threat. I suspect Putin wants to open that as a new front, and I'll get the name wrong, but Lukashenko or something, whatever the current head of Belarus is, he understands that he's on thin ice. So if he really makes it apparent that he's just a Russian tool and it's not a truly independent country, it makes a lot of problems for him. The sanctions get extended to him. So he's playing a dangerous game of keeping the Russians just far enough away and being friendly with the rest, just enough not to piss Putin off. So I don't think that the massing of forces in Belarus, particularly since they're mostly new troops that are being trained there. They're using that as a quiet sector to acclimatize troops to the fighting at the front before they actually ship them into the front in some ways.
In Belarus or Finland border?
No, they don't have a border with Finland. Belarus borders
Oh, okay.
Poland, Hungary.
I think, oh, sorry, I thought, because there's another mass buildup in Finland as
Yeah,
well.
the one in
Oh yeah,
in Finland,
that's a different issue. If the Russians are dumb enough to attack Finland, Finland's now a NATO member. That invokes Article 5 and everything changes for them. And two, as the Winter War in 39 showed, the Finns are quite capable of defending themselves.
I mean, but they're also screwing around with the border with the Baltics, with Poland. I mean, they had the jet, like, I mean,
it's all part of a PSYOP operation. They want to keep Europe scared that if you provoke us, we'll cause a major war that involves you, and then your cities are not safe anymore. It's trying to get the European average voter to stop saying, yeah, we want to support Ukraine. It's trying to force them to back off out of fear. Because to the Russian thinking, fear is the most effective weapon to achieve those kind of foreign relations victories.
It's so wild because the countries that fear Russia the least, or not at all, are the bordering countries with Russia. So,
well, it's highly unlikely that the war would escalate to other nations. If Belarus was to enter the war outright, I would highly doubt there would be an intervention from Poland or other nations. And one thing I have learned as a veteran, I cringe to say that word because I hear that in YouTube comments. Speaking as an Air Force veteran, from thank you for your service, and I don't mean to be diminutive of anybody, but yes, a veteran of this war. I in 24 for several months on and off, I was a trainer, a NATO trainer, and in the Baltics. And as cool as those guys were, like the coolest guys and girls you ever want to meet, and their commanders, and how receptive they were to me. And I was just a shitty little British soldier with an attitude problem, years ago. How cool it was to be received differently. I say this kindly, they don't have a clue.
No, they don't.
Not have a clue. They're soft as putty, and the way they train, they don't train as if something's coming back. And I lived in Sweden, and I felt this, I don't want to call it arrogance, just naivety. If any country was to enter war with Russia, and you can say what you want about Russia, that country would lose 5-figure numbers very quickly, as we did in Ukraine. The Battle of Kiev, the first opening months of this war, our casualties were horrific. And they did have a war in Donbass prior to this, but the knowledge that was acquired by those platoons, companies, battalions, brigades, please God, we have a good brigade commander. That knowledge was our casualty numbers nowadays. We don't have as many. We don't kill ourselves as much. I take that as that. I don't know how else to word it, but in a full-scale real war, those countries would pay dearly in the first 6 months of knowledge, and nobody's prepared for 50,000 dead Swedish boys.
Would you say that, if anything, NATO needs Ukraine more than anything because of Ukraine's combat experience with Russian?
Yes, yes, I believe that to be true. I know that the Interflex program in the UK has been a disappointment in many ways. There's political pressures from Kiev to every other country to condense these programs. There has come a point, and I don't want to be condescending, but one man is a lovely man, a friend of mine. He's a hemvärnet soldier in Sweden, which is like a part-time soldier. And, you know, he goes to the UK to train these people, and he has all this theory, and it's very good education. It's fantastic education. But I don't want to sound arrogant, but what can he realistically teach them? When the third assault corps that is being formed now will never send another soldier to Europe ever again, that they will train all their soldiers and their polygons in Ukraine. The best polygons are now in Ukraine. And not to say we don't need this training. We desperately need this training, especially the technical training. We need the technical training on the weapon systems, the communication systems, but how to implement them is just, and that's why we receive so much free stuff. It's some of it's goodwill, but some of it is, Saab is very happy with the feedback they get from Archer, the most effective artillery system in this war. And the Swedes and the Danes, as small as they are, they send us their good stuff, what they go to war with, not their scraps. But they're getting very valuable feedback, and they're getting contracts now. The money they make out of it will be a fortune, but we need that technical knowledge still to this day. But I just don't know how to explain. I don't know.
I've spoken to several soldiers who've been abroad for training, like Ukrainian soldiers who went abroad for training and then came back, and asked them what they said, and they said, like, it's great and all what they teach, but that doctrine does not work if you're being attacked from the sky and there's a possibility of a attack from the ocean or from the sea, and you do not have air superiority.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the key issues.
It's cool, great strategy, but try doing that maneuver without air superiority.
Yeah, that's one of the key problems. Is all NATO doctrine is predicated on having at least air parity, if not air superiority. And that's the Ukrainians are fighting effectively. I hate to say it this way, but they're without any air power. They have some, but it's nothing in comparison to what the Russians can put in the air. And so whatever NATO is trying to teach them is predicated on a false assumption. Now, post-war, assuming Ukraine gets into NATO or some other arrangement that, they have cooperative defense with various NATO member nations individually, where they can count on having enough air support to be able to establish those levels of air superiority. Yeah, maybe that changes that paradigm. But right now, it's whatever NATO is teaching them is good stuff, but still flawed.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Commander McMillan. This is from Cheryl. And did you know Greenland was last used by the USA to transship weapons to Russia via Svalbard? Should we be worried, Commander McMillan?
Greenland has been used and is currently being used by NATO and even the US. We have a base in Greenland for monitoring stations, radar and sonar and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it has been. I'm aware of the fact that Greenland was used as a support transshipment point for Lend-Lease that was going to Russia during World War II, but it has definitely been used since World War II.
Do you think Trump would use that route to help Putin and give American weapons to Russia?
I don't think he's willing to risk doing that because the public outcry in this country would be enormous. I don't think he can go quite that far. I think what he realizes is that he can withdraw support from Ukraine and people won't make a big stink. But if he starts actively supporting the Russians by sending equipment to them, yeah, that's going to really blow up in his face.
You can only push that so far because there's a traditional anti-communist thing at the core of many Americans.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's literally in American DNA to, I mean, enemies with Russia always was. And Russians cannot stand Americans. So I don't know what Trump believes, but let me tell you,
Yeah.
they probably hate Americans more than they hate Ukrainians. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Easy to see it. Couple of shout outs here I'll get to. Because I was away for a minute there. I thought something was going on bad and now it's good. So it's no big deal. But we had from Jamie McCadden came in with a $30 direct shout into the fundraising plot for today. Slava Ukraine is the message. Love it. Thank you very much, Jamie. Thank you. We had Paul Gilbert come in with $35 direct donation as well. Magic juice for Brandon. Slava Ukraine. Awesome. Good shout indeed. And then we had another one direct in through that coffee place from BH. $25 direct donation. You'll see on the screen it says private message. Don't know why, because if I hover for the little question mark, it just says for Brandon. So I don't know what happened there, but yeah. Strange. These services do weird things in the background. I never really know what they're up to, but I do know that we love it and appreciate it, everybody, because every little bit helps and all those little bits come together to make a big bit. And that's a good thing. Couple of super chats too, before I forget and screw this up. SSW Custom Sewing came in with a super chat. Hey, everybody, channel hop over to Slavi's as well. And thank you, everyone. Hey, great shout, dude. Great shout. I think Slavi's all wrapped up with monetization now over there, pretty much. Is everything done?
Yes, fully monetized. I believe people are watching ads on my live stream, but hopefully it's not too bad. But yeah.
Awesome. And where are we here? Lindsay Rogers came in with another super chat here. Trump is so cruel that baby oil would be made with real babies. That's funny. And you know,
but only after they're born, because as long as they're still in utero,
Oh my goodness.
they're protected.
Oh,
Got to make sure we understand that provision. This is faux Christianity at its worst.
Would you like to talk about today's fundraiser instead of dead babies?
You know you're in trouble. Well, you know you're in trouble when the conversation turns to rubbing down the president with the oil of dead baby, right? You know, that's pretty weird.
Only on the Shills.
Yeah. And then Petra Olsen came in as well with 269 Swedish kroners there with love to Ukraine and with love thou shall be sent. Oh, yeah. Thank you, everybody. Huge support day. Very much appreciated indeed. And remember, if you're new here, click subscribe and all that, and then head over to Slavi's channel too and do that as well, because, well, that's what you do around here, right? Yeah, that whole thing got real dark there for a minute, didn't it? So let's speaking of fundraising, let's turn to Brandon and give some updates to who might not have heard from before and so on and what's going on and everything. Let's make sure everybody's up to date.
Okay. So about 5 weeks ago in Pavlograd, Hospitalers Medical Battalion base in Pavlograd was hit by Shahid, and everything burned to the ground. Could tell you maybe a little bit about our work, what we've done, But I've got some of the photos here. I've not. I'll show you. The only thing that survived, quite prophetic, was our battalion battle flag. When the building was hit, it become not so much a safe place for some time. Nobody had been living there anymore, but obviously the most valuable things in the basement, but it became a great storage center for medical supplies, for many logistical electrical supplies. And when it burned, I just got some photos. Like you can see the inside. Everything is completely gone. Jana Zinkovic, commanding officer, she serves as a people's deputy in the Rada. She's quite to me, I've always been a big fan of Jana. She's a woman in a wheelchair. And she was one of the old school Dobrovolcyan, the people who served, who came in 2014, 2015 to serve in the volunteer battalions. And the Ukraińska Dobrovolcya Army, this is where Hospitalieri gets his origin. This is where Azov comes from, Aidar, Vovke Da Vinci, the Da Vinci's Wolves. I'm quite passionate, and I think this appeals to many Americans who like to live free or die. You know, this is something that conscientious Ukrainians, it's a sad thing. Well, maybe it's a necessary thing with the formalization, but you don't see as much Dobrovolcya as you used to, volunteer battalions. They formalized into the army, like in 67 Brigade, which you support. You know, this is a strong history, and sadly less and less around. But I'm very passionate, and our base. This is not the main point of our fundraiser, but it was a place of history. You know, on the walls there of the people who fought in Donbass from 2014 on. But when the base burned, many supplies were lost. No less than 10 ambulances were lost. So the monobank, which many foreigners don't have access to monobanks or to contribute to jars. Jana will know this. It's a pain in the ass. The jar was set at 20 million hryvnia. If I can convert that right now really quick here on my phone. I hope I get the zeros right. 10,000. My eyes aren't so good. I think that's 20 million. Yeah, so about $500,000. That sounds about right. The jar is now set. It's now collected over 11 million hryvnia. Now how this works, if a lot of people watch on YouTube, it is, if I hate to say this, but if you want to be less of a passive supporter, you can get on Instagram, particularly on Instagram, and you can follow Ukrainian accounts, Ukrainian soldiers. Most people are not going to do this from YouTube, I've learned. But you can see what they're collecting for their cars, and that's what you guys are helping with all the time. You're closing needs because you speak English for people, and this is why the YouTube platforms are very important. You know, to talk to Slavi, to talk to Jana, to talk to Rick, the Ukrainian who I met recently, and that's essentially all he does every week. He collects about $5,000 every week.
He's an animal. He's a monster. Yeah.
He closes, and whether they have a 450,000 hryvnia jar or whatever, he manages to close it because dollars add up quicker.
Yeah.
They add up a lot quicker than hryvnia. So I wanted to thank you for your help. Recently purchased $20,000 worth of Mavic components, which is something in 25 Brigade that I took a long time to work on, and to move on to Matrice drones, Atel drones. Now we can repair components of components. We can replace. So it's some things can't be done. You know, you'll always need to buy the gimbal cable where the camera moves up and down. We can't fix those. And no, for the last time, for the millionth time, we don't need your 3D printer. No, you can't 3D print everything, and no, save the postage. Just send them the money, if not me. 3D printing in Ukraine. So no, and we closed that. You helped with that. We raised $3,000. That was like, thank you. Now, with the help of other friends, we bought a Land Cruiser ambulance. I won't name the brigade or who it's going to because they don't know. It's a surprise, but that will be driven from Belgium, a
Cool.
UN land, like the big one. That will be in Poltava, getting converted next week. So that's all good, but I just want my effort to go towards a jar. On Monday, I don't have a monobank because I only have temporary residence. I don't have permanent residence in Ukraine.
Right.
It's a pain in the ass. My friend is going to create a jar for 500,000 hryvnia, and we'll do that together. And I will just fill that jar with everything. And that is not a hard goal for a Westerner to have with a decent social media, because that is only, I don't want to say only because we all work hard for our money, but that is 500. No, is that 50? It's not a lot of money. It's about $12,000,
Right.
$13,000.
We
but
had on our last car for Ukraine, one donator on behalf of the Shills put 10,000 American on the spot. Done. Right.
Wow. Doesn't happen every day.
I know. I was just like, okay, we're falling behind a bit. We got to really push the fundraiser. And the next thing I know, we're done. What
That's
happened?
crazy.
Yeah. What happened?
Oh,
Well-
I thought it was Euro. I thought it was a European.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was. Sorry. Maybe it was.
So that's close to 12,000.
Yeah.
But I've always believed in our work. I served as a felcher for 2 years, mostly. So what happens? A team will get, I believe the term is seconded to a brigade, an army brigade, and it's a legal. I don't want to call it a contract, but it's because you're an unpaid, uncontracted soldier essentially, and you will serve at that brigade in this direction. In what capacity? For 1 month, 2 weeks, 3 months, and that team will assist in a medical capacity. Not as much Kazovac work now, which is quite romanticized, and foreigners always want to volunteer for Kazovac.
Yeah.
But you need armored vehicles to do that. Medevac roles for doctors, nurses, felchers, and on stabilization. And many of our teams are very good. Some are not, like the rest of the army. That's a fact. But I've recently seen a lot of people come through, and we have a lot of Ukrainian medical students who are taking time out. I've seen people who come through our battalion as interns, and they've since gone on to the army. They've completed their studies. They're doing their residency now, and they're going back to battalion to serve. One of my friends I'm very happy for now, who has a good internship. We served together in a battalion. Now she's at Dobrobut as a surgeon, and I just think the progression is
Cool.
I want to see. I think there's a place for the battalion after the war, as there always will be. But this hit was very, very, very big. And at the end of the day, it's a working machine. Sadly, we've lost some of our best people because the war kills the best people. But many of those people, they could not afford to work for free anymore, and they did have to sign contracts to the army. And some of those people have gone on to SOF, have gone on to GUR, have gone on to many of those people are actually some of the best people in the armed forces. But this needs this process in Ukraine where it enables medical professionals or drivers where that they can go and serve in the army for 1 month at a time or so, and then they can go back to their families or their regular jobs in their regular hospitals. Like
Right.
One of my friends died. Hera, we got a car for him, and Ruda, he's the driver, and she's a nurse. She's a nurse in Kharkiv. 1 month as a nurse in her hospital, 1 month with 82 Brigade, consistently since the war. So that's how they're working, and this is who
Yeah.
you're supporting. I served consistently long term through hospitalers with Pierwsza Tankowa, 28, Morskie Piechota, with the Marines, mostly with Marines, for probably about 11 months. I would stay because the Nachmed, the medical commander, speaks English. I'm happy there. They're happy with me. But other people would come and go for a month. And sometimes they have fresh faces, where the guys who have been on position for a long time, they don't have that energy left.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's who you're supporting today. And that jar is not going to close soon, because when an attack happens, even in Ukraine, people have short memories. You know, I remember Kherson cats. Everybody wanted to adopt an animal from Kherson when they blew the dam, and 2 months later, nobody remembers Kherson. So that jar filled very quick, but it's not going to close in a month or two. So we'll do this one. Maybe we'll do another one.
Yeah.
I have
had the floor for a while.
Sorry. I have a question for you, Brandon. Do you know of this point system that Ukraine started for soldiers? So if they hit a Russian drone or Russian tank, they get more points, and they can take the points and then go get equipment for the unit or more drones.
I've never heard of it.
They launched it recently.
Does that mean Starsky owes like 10,000 points for shooting down one of his own?
Probably.
Yeah, we both did points.
So yeah, it's a new initiative that they're rolling out, where they basically get points for, infantry is a certain amount of points, the Russian tanks certain amount of points, structures certain amount of points, and then with that they can then buy drones with their points. So it's a very incentive-based thing. Which I think is
interesting concept,
cool.
because it's basically reinforcing success.
Yeah.
So those who are getting more points, they're being successful at the front. You give them more and better equipment, and they will
and
continue
it works
to do well.
both ways, because they do it with the drone manufacturing companies, and then also they get scored by the soldiers. So it also promotes competition amongst the drone manufacturers.
Interesting.
To be like
The
top
only
of the
concern I'd have
the
is those who aren't doing well aren't getting any real support. Then those units become effective or combat ineffective.
That's true. Yeah, I mean that's where we
dangerous.
come in.
Yeah, true.
That's where we come in.
Yeah, this program is definitely not replacing any fundraising. So just
no. I mean, actually, Sasha, who's now with Third Assault, he told me that Biletsky, who's the commander of Third Assault, was in an interview, and they're basically not getting anything from the government, because there's been some issues, some arguments, and they're not getting FPVs from the government. Their Third Assault is basically only relying on volunteers at the moment and NGOs at the moment. So yeah.
Probably them and Azov are in a position to actually do that, though, because they have such good public relations. They have the best public relations in the world. If you're in 115 Taro, you're not getting anything from anyone. But what you say about that is true, and it's very complex. For example, like if you have Magyar drones, if you have Robert Magyar support, if you have the money to get that support, they have some of the best equipment in the country, like far superior. Like this is from Army of Drones. This comes from 503 Morskie Piechota, and it's a good copter. It does everything it does, but when Magyar people come into the area, they just basically shut everything down, so they don't cross frequencies, and they let them do their far superior. But third assault essentially, like Treosha Bay has essentially the best of. It's not right that they don't have that support, but I think
They
they're
have,
gonna
yeah, no, I hear you
carry
completely.
on.
I hear you. They have the, yeah.
People
But
want to
it's
support
also
them.
like yeah, it's also, I think, like when we started, we were like, we are going to help the smaller guys or the less famous units. But then you get to know people in these other brigades. And you're like, how do you say no to people, you know? So
Makes
we're like,
sense.
we'll help, but just understand we are not this massive big org that can help with everything. So we're
They make
helping
it
them,
easy
but
for you
it's,
to help, don't they? They work with you to help.
yeah, but I mean, the 67th does as well. Okay, the 67th, we have history with them, of course. And then we're with the 422, the 422nd Battalion of the 42nd Brigade as well. And Halina does all our documents. So I sometimes feel like all I do is talk and get money. Sometimes I feel like that's all I do because Halina's the one making sure, like pulling things through to the end. But yeah, so Third Assault is really, really, they're quick with the documents and everything and videos and everything. With the guys in 67th, you know, we've been with them for so long that we know them. The system and their processes aren't that great, but yeah. I mean,
Did you teach them? Did you teach them how to give you the feedback that you needed to get them more help, and eventually the penny started to drop? If you know what I mean.
it is a thing, but this is a command level problem, you know, where we're sitting with documents, which is what comes down to, you know. We have figured out, for example, when we get them, we work with a drone manufacturer called Patashka Drones.
Mhm.
And with them, we just decided we're putting them in touch with the drone team. They sort out the specifics, and then we just foot the bill, you know, just because we don't understand their needs and their specifics, but you know, we know they need drones, and Dashka says we can help, so we just put them in touch with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a quick question for Brandon while we're on this topic. So this is from Lindsay Rogers. So question for Brandon, is £10 for Gen 7 tourniquets a better price than the Ukraine Gen 2? If that makes sense. Get to
10 British pounds, a Cat 7 tourniquet, or a Ukraine.
I think it's the Dnipro Gen 2 that they're referring to.
Yeah, it says GE2.
I don't know if the new improvement on the Dnipro tourniquet, if it's been so good. The problem with the Dnipro tourniquet always was the windlass. You would get when you turned it, the tourniquet would be effective. It would cut off circulation, but the actual internal band would actually loosen over the run of an hour to 2 hours, which on paper they say 2 hours. It can be longer, but Dnipro tourniquets were ineffective. That I'm sorry, but it's true. A Cat tourniquet is really it's really irreplaceable. So you would, if you're supporting a fund that's fundraising for Cat tourniquets, which they should, in a massive fund, they should cost around $25, maybe 28 at the highest, like not $35, $40 buying it yourself. You should probably stick with that. I really like the Sitch tourniquet. I've used them a lot. I've only ever applied first application twice in my life of a tourniquet, but I've done conversions. I really like the Sitch tourniquet. Some people don't like it because of the hook, but I like to think it's good because it's really good.
Yeah, we now buy Sitch just because it's just that little bit cheaper than a Cat 7, but still you get that good quality. It's similar. It's yeah. But I mean, when it comes to us, like, you know, just little few more tourniquets, then you'll go for it, So
Yeah.
Of course you will. Of course you will.
A couple of shout outs here. So Jean-Marc Ladacour came in with a super chat here. Big shout. Thanks there, Jean-Marc. And it's, of course, for Brandon. We should reiterate, on a day like today, you don't actually have to say it's for Brandon, but it's nice that you do because
Hospitallers Medical Battalion.
well, yeah, but even beyond that, we don't, on a day when we're fundraising for somebody, we don't look through the super chats afterwards and go, oh, well, that one doesn't say for Brandon, so it's for us. I mean, it's not how it works. Yeah. But I do appreciate you guys putting it's for him because it's nice for him to hear, right? For sure.
It's appreciated.
But yeah, so big shout there. Thank you, Jean-Marc. We've also got Carl Jacobson come in with renewal membership. Thank you very much, Carl. And YOLO Swaggins as well. So thanks, guys. Couple of Mario bounces for you. That seems to be our membership sound these days. And then we had a direct coffee donation in for Brandon's work as well from Kamo. Another 15 direct in. So huge thanks, everybody. We're having a very good day indeed. You know what? Here, let's get the chat dance up and give everybody a little party sequence for how well they've done today.
That was awesome. I also have a couple of super chats. So super chat from Ohms. Join the resistance with a red kiss. Yeah. I think that goes. I did a short about wearing red lipstick, and that's because it's a resistance. That's what happened in World War II. Women wore red lipstick.
Yeah.
So yeah. Also, super chat from They Exist. Hey, I still want a Slavi sailor hat. Remember? I do remember. And then another super chat. He said, don't let Trump own the sailor hat copyright. I won't.
Oh, that's awesome. So you've got super chats enabled. So now you've got shout outs on the channel to do too. Very cool. You know what, Slavi? We'll have to do a thing where you give me your YouTube chat pop-out link, and then I can put it on the screen somewhere and put it on fan funding mode just to show your super chats as well, right?
Yeah, that would be great because I got some great super chats and hilarious ones too today. So thanks so much, guys.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Awesome to see the support and the love, folks. And sailor hats. All right. Well, I guess that's the thing.
Sailor hats. I think maybe I'll do something fun for next live stream and see if we can do any fundraising with it, and then I'll maybe ship it to you. So if you really want it.
There you go. Great idea. Speaking of which, we've got Dunk, my partner on most of the shows on these channels of ours, the Shills. He did an amazing painting of Operator Starsky, and Rick the Ukrainian is going to set the auction up for us this week because he's got the platform that works and all that, and it'll just make it easy. So look for that coming up. It's serious work. It's not like a child with crayons. This is a really, really lovely piece of art. And Starsky will sign it before it gets sent to you, the winner. So it'll be pretty cool.
Hey, also, guys, if you want me to wear a full sailor outfit next live stream, you know what to do.
I'll be here.
Yeah, we might have to make that a longer stream. What time is it? Okay, we still got about 15 minutes here before my son gets a little bit squirrely and says, "No, that's too long, pal. Get the hell off that thing." So, viewer questions. Is there any? Oh, wait a minute. Michael Michaels is in the chat here as well. Good luck with the fundraiser, Brandon. There's another New Zealand super chat in as well. Big thanks, everybody.
Oh, cheer, bro.
Oh, wait a minute. And if I'm right, Jamie McCadden just sent in No? Okay, wait a minute. Oh, I see what's going on. I've got a direct donation in here from YOLO Swaggins in the chat. Yoo-hoo! It's keep up the good work, Slava Ukraine. And of course, that's for Brandon there as well. It's same money as another one, so I got really confused there. Okay, I see what's going on. Wait a minute, I'm trying to keep up, everybody. Then we've got one in from Andrew Gordon through the coffee one as well. Keep up the good fight, the right fight. Y'all represent the collective free world for us. Slava Ukraine. Good words, good words. Awesome, everybody. Okay, I think I'm caught up. That poll is going to be an easy one for everybody to figure out. Oh, and then is it Eli Lassetti? Is that right? Sent in 5 Shills memberships. Oh yeah, here Mario Bounce. We love gifted memberships. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, come on, get the hearts out. Stupid technology. All right. Thank you. Yes, big support there.
More like a kidney shaped. Those are important too.
Apple should have a little automated thing for that. You know, that'd be funny.
Mine are really slow.
Yeah, it seemed to be, right? I wonder what's going on there. Yeah. I guess it's an attitude thing. You have to be nice and like dust your computer off before the stream to get it to do the hearts quick.
I guess. I mean, mine doesn't even do it automatically. I have to go and press
It's like
on
where
it.
you place it, something. Sometimes it works, other times it doesn't.
Oh,
for
there's
me.
a thing where you can turn it on in the settings so that you can use the gestures. Like I can do 2 thumbs up and get
It worked at
that.
one point. It works and then it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's, I don't know.
I like this one.
Yeah, there you go. See? Yeah.
I've seen like it works. It's so funny. Apple does it at like the weirdest times as well. So I've seen a lot of people like make jokes about it.
Yeah. I seen one where somebody was literally breaking up with their boyfriend and Apple put in the confetti or something, right? And she's like, "Oh, sorry, that was just the phone."
I've seen one. It was like some sort of sad conversation, and all of a sudden the phone goes, "Yeah."
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous. Okay, so let's see here. Anything we need to cover or chat about before we get into wrap up mode? Let me see if I can get a running total here. I should be able to come up with something. It's not that hard to log into a service.
I want to say something though.
Mm.
Okay, because we have been getting people who email us about our Starlink sponsoring and stuff. To those people who are parents, thank you very much. But I've gotten a few emails from people telling me that, or they're upset that we are supporting Elon by using Starlink, or that we are partnering with America to help this. To which I say, okay, look, it's not like Halina and I go up to the defenders and you're like, here, you have to use Starlink. Starlink is what the military uses at the moment, okay?
Yeah.
We cannot pause the war for 3 years so that Europe catches up with equipment.
Yeah.
So it's not supporting Elon, it's supporting the soldiers. So I had 3 emails with regards to that.
Wow.
And I'm like, it's so nice to sit from a position of privilege in your NATO protected umbrella country and complain about people using Starlink on the front.
Yeah, what's important here? Fighting the fight or some socio-political whatever argument about who and what? Shut up, seriously, just get it done. What do you think, Brandon?
It's like, don't make, what I wouldn't have to mansplain if you didn't make me mansplain. And by the way, okay, let me fucking explain how that works. Radio Elektrona Rozvidka. And you don't know what the hell that means, whoever wrote those emails. So basically this war works on electronic warfare. Radio Elektrona Boritisia. That's how we fight it. That's your drone jammers. And then the Rozvidka side, where they listen to everything. Every time you press a push to talk, it sends out a blast. And Russia has generally better electronic warfare capabilities than most Western nations, and that's even accepted. Okay, and this was known beforehand. So I could go on a big long rant about this. Actually, I'm going to go on a real quick one. Does anybody know what an EKG is, or an ECG machine monitoring a heart? Okay, it's a even I know this. Oh wow, a feldsher, a medic. I would hope so. But when you were doing radio electronics Rozvidka, when you're doing electronics warfare intelligence, you will look at a spectrograph, a spectroanalyzer, just like when you fundraise for a REB, a drone jammer. It's not how good the drone jammer is. Well, yeah, it is, but it's this little thing, or like this American called a sugar cube. I hate that guy. I'm not going to slam him, but it's a little bit more complicated than your sugar cube, buddy. And you will have to monitor signals. Okay, so you will have a Lancet drone, you will have a Zala, you will have a Mavic drone, which will run like on a 5.8 or a 2.4. You don't need to know that stuff, but they do need to know that stuff. Or this could run on digital, could be on megahertz, gigahertz. But what happens? You will monitor on the spectrograph, and you will pick, because there's too many signals. It's like the most wild EKG you've ever seen in your life. Okay, you will pick the most likely signals that are a threat to you, and you will monitor those, and you'll learn to read it like an EKG, and they'll show a little bar, and you'll be like, oh, I know what frequency that is. Now, radios are the same thing. I can sit here in Kiev right now with a spectroanalyzer, and I can listen to the police radios. I can pick up signals from televisions. I can pick them up from phones, and I can look at that. And a Russian will do this, and they're very, very good at it. And they will make radio intelligence. Ooh, this frequency. High terror radios run on those frequencies, or Motorola R7s run on those frequencies. It might be that, it might not be, but their blast, it just goes. Or another person might be talking long on the radio. They don't have good radio discipline. They're not educated to talk on a radio. So it shows it's a Terra O unit. Okay, well, ooh, this one here, they have a really good frequency. We can't hear what they're saying because it's encrypted. Maybe that's a GUR team. Maybe that's SBU Alpha. Okay, so it all plants it. But how they find these signals, they blast out like this. Okay, so you try to communicate it's a problem, they can jam it. A Starlink is directed to a satellite, so it goes up higher. It's not widely blasted out. It's very hard to detect a Starlink. And in fact, probably the only way your Starlink can ever get detected is if you're the idiot in the blindage or the trench system that says, oh, well, we want everyone to have Starlink, so we'll put the Starlink above the trench. No, they dig a hole about 2 feet, probably about 2 feet depth. That's all you really need. Not everybody gets a full signal, but it gives them even more directed beam up to the sky, so it's harder to detect. So they can't find your position because you need communications, or you're going to die without communications. But if you're using the other type of communications, you're also very likely to die because it blasts out wider like this. So it's a big thing that I don't fully understand, but I know enough. You're getting that I know who to talk to who does know about it. And when you're writing these emails, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're writing about virtue signaling. Okay, that's what it is. It's virtue signaling. So you leave this hardworking lady alone. And if you're so offended by what I say, don't donate to me. Don't donate to them. Give it all to Sniffing Brigade. Get yourself a cool NAFO patch. Yeah.
No shade at all. No shade.
Yeah.
Guys.
You're gonna get a patch with a meme, a shitcoin dog. You're the shitcoin dog, and just say Slava Ukraine, because that's all you know. And people who just say Slava Ukraine all the time, they don't have anything to say. The more they say that, okay. So yeah,
Wow.
so if you don't like it, Jana Zinkovic has instructions for my funeral because I'm worth a lot of money as a foreigner. Money should go to her. And you're not going to be shaking me down like some pastor from America. About my next dream. No, I'm going to give it large here for a second. And she has instructions before they bury me to turn me face down. And you know what that's for. So, and those people who wrote you those email, they can kiss my arse too. Yeah. And if you don't like it, you can just say I have PTSD, because that's what they do to write off people who tell the truth. In Ukraine too. So yeah, so when you don't want us to use Starlink, and would you? Where's my knife? Would you like me to cut this one or that one? For you and your virtues. Sorry, I'm done.
Damn,
No, that was a great rant, Brandon.
Oh, back, Brandon. Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah.
No, but I'm not a stupid person. I'm not a stupid person. I worked in Krinky. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. I worked on the beach of Krinky in Tahinka. I lived across from it, and I know a thing or two about a thing or two. And I know.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of stupid people out there. A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of stupid people in Ukraine too.
There was a question come in here, Brandon. Does Petrovivka, is that how I say it, still stand, or is it destroyed?
Petrokivka. Я не знаю. I don't know where. I don't know. It's
Petry.
some people hate him. If you want the best map updates in English on a YouTube channel, it's Willie.
Does
It's Willie.
village still stand, or is it destroyed?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't even know where it is. If you, there's a lot of Ivka. Ivka means village, by the way.
Yeah, that's what it said in brackets, and so I was unsure on how to even ask the question because I didn't.
Kudumivka, Ivanivka, even Petropavlivka, Petroivka.
Yeah.
Sorry,
A couple of shout outs before we're done. Carl Jacobson came in with a $20 direct donation there in for the Brandon pile today. Thank you very, very much. I think we're caught up there. Let me look over here quick. Stephen Walsh came in with a $20 super chat as well. He says that was a fantastic Ridion explanation. I like it. Where am I here? Let me make sure. Okay, I am caught up. We should do thanks to the team, right? We've got Annette, Shayna Caldwell, PJ CNET, Mexi Girl, Chris Lundy, Carpasian The AI Alchemist, Liam Wakefield, Janine Turblanche, and of course, Super Chat Matt. And they do a lot in the background around here. It really, really helps. We'd be so screwed otherwise. It's not even funny. We are caught up, I do believe. And oh yeah, tomorrow we've got a pub chat over on our other channel at the Shills Live. So do a little search, check it out, make sure you're subbed, because that's where it's just a little bit more free rolling. Things get kind of crazy at times. Maybe we should kick into wrap ups here. Slavi, what do you think? Should you want to take us around?
Yes. Absolutely. But before we do that, couple of super chats again. Thank you guys so much. Paul D. Fella says, good job. Then SSW Custom Sewing gave a rose. Thank you so much. And Stephen Walsh is welcome to the Situation Room, because Channel Yurchenko has memberships now. So, and I post there every day my analysis, and I hope you guys like it. The people that's been a part of it for about a month now. So yeah, just
awesome.
so you know, a lot of fun stuff happens there. And let's go around. Commander McMillan, any final thoughts?
Just my usual, which is contact and communicate with your elected officials. Tell them Ukraine is important to you. Keep the pressure on. And I know that there are, protest marches and such against the administration being planned. I would strongly urge people to try to get out and participate in those. I don't want to push any one organization over others, but the one that I deal with closest is 5051. And I encourage people to find some local group that does what those are doing, so that we can keep the pressure on and hopefully convince the Orange God King that supporting Putler is not the best move in the world.
Amen.
Absolutely. By the way, calling in as a constituent, actually it works because of all these crazy ideas the Trump administration has. When constituents call in and say like, don't deport 500,000 Ukrainian refugees, I'm not for it. I would be very angry if you do. They're not going to do it. They're going to hear the outcry from their own people already. So yeah, please.
And it's especially important if you live in a red state to communicate those thoughts to your elected official.
Yeah.
It's convincing the people on that side that the extremism that the Trump MAGA movement has been venturing down does not reflect your own views.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Jana from Project Constantine. Any final thoughts?
Yes,
where people can find you and subscribe, and yeah.
Yes, so I'm sure the mods will post our links. We have YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, because I refuse to call it X, Facebook, and Blue Sky. And Discord. I keep forgetting Discord. We have Discord, but nothing goes on there. But we have a Discord as well. I do just want to remind you all of the raffle I have for Pete's knife. And then it's this patch. You can see it's quite worn. So his call sign, a Project Constantine patch, and the Pete patches we had made. So
cool.
That to enter it is a £10 donation to any of our ongoing fundraisers. That's all on our link tree. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Thanks so much. All right, Brandon, you're up. Final thoughts, and I mean, you know what to do.
Kobzar, Karashevchenko. Борітеся, поборете, вам Бог помагає. За вас правда, за вас слава і воля святая. Fight and you will win. It's the Ukrainian Bible. He wasn't talking about the nation. He was talking about you as the individual. If you fight, you will win.
Good words, man.
Yeah, that was really well done. I don't even know how I can follow up with that. But Taras Shevchenko, Kobzar, is actually is known to be the father of Ukrainian language, or the godfather. I keep forgetting those two because the godfather is Bandera, but I don't know.
Домашнє завдання. Нашо мене чорне брови, нашо карі очі, нашо літа молоді, велесе дичові. Yeah, I'll stop there. But I never thought I would like poetry. I'm quite a degenerate. I'm very working class, but Ukrainian poetry has yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. Everyone should read Ukrainian poetry, and Kobzar especially, if you want to know more about Ukrainian culture and Ukrainian struggles. But yeah, before we wrap, a massive thank you to our incredible moderators on both channels, our tireless crew, and the panel, of course. Every one of you watching live or catching the replay later, you make this possible. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to all the channels that we're streaming on the Shills and channel Yurchenko. And it's more important than ever to support platforms that talk about Ukraine day in and day out. Because trust me, we are fighting on an uphill battle. Everything is stacked against us, from the algorithm to disinformation networks to digital suppression, Russian bots, Russian disinformation campaigns. I mean, I can just go on and on. But yeah, so thank you to everyone who donated today, super chats. You guys are unbelievable, and keep doing so, please. And If you haven't used your social currency today, please like, comment, and share. It costs nothing, but it makes all the difference. And make sure to share these fundraisers as well, because if you can't donate, you never know if one of your followers can.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because this isn't just about visibility, it's about survival. If we don't fight Russian narratives online, we lose the war offline. And if we lose the war, we lose our freedom and everything that comes with it.
Yep.
So supporting Ukraine isn't just about helping a country under attack. It's an investment in our future, in our values and our freedom. And in the kind of world where we leave our kids and for every generation that follows. So we absolutely must crush this evil now before it spreads. We strike back with drones, with truth and unwavering strength. Because if we wait, it multiplies. And if we hesitate, it wins. So let's make sure America stands on the right side of history. Because justice delayed isn't just freedom denied, it's freedom surrendered. On that note, God bless America and Slava Ukraini.
Here Slava.
Slava.
Well said. Two last shout outs here. As John Mark Latiker just said in the chat, make Russia small again, because hey, it wouldn't be bad if Canada was the largest country now, would it? And Ozzy T says, donate, donate, donate. Ozzy T, words of wisdom. We're out of here, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the support. Everything that came through today really helps. We got well over $400 to send to Brandon. So job well done, folks. Thank you so much. And like we say, Slava Ukraine.
Heroям Slava.
It's over. Go home. Go.